Well, hello and welcome to the How to Homeschool channel. My name is Rebecca Devitt. So I was homeschooled myself. My parents used to get curriculum for us and bring them home. And now I'm homeschooling my own children. And because last week I asked you guys what video you would like to see next, and you said, hey, I would like to see a video about what homeschool curriculum you're using now with your children and what curriculum you used when you were young. So for me, that was about 30 years ago. So to start with, now I am using this amazing curriculum that I absolutely love. It's called BJU Press. And so this is the Focus on Fives program you can get. So this is just a reading program. So it's a phonics program, so you know it's good. It's very involved. It's a traditional program, but it's so hands-on. It's really engages children. So I really love doing that with my child. So I'm doing the Focus on Fives program, and because my son is about 5 now, and then I'm also doing their math program, and he is really loving that because again, it's very hands-on. There's lots of manipulatives he can use. These are they give you lots of little booklets to read with your kids. That would be the first one, Hit It, and so on. So here are all the books. So I'll put them there, and then, so this is the math program. It comes with loads of manipulatives and you reuse them. So I've just put them in this bag here and you reuse them every time. Counting charts, 1 to 100, just really practical things like this. I think there's a clock that we made together in this book. And we're doing, so the Focus on Fives, the reading writing program that's offline program. So I do that with my son. And the math curriculum, this one, so we didn't get the teacher's manuals. We got about 5 massive books of teacher's manuals with the reading program. But because I was like, I just want to have a bit more of a break. The math curriculum, we got the online K5 math curriculum. And so he does that on video lessons. So that's an amazing time where he does video lessons and I clean the kitchen and clean, our morning breakfast. So that's if you're looking for a way to a way that you can supervise your children and they can do an accredited program. BJU is either accredited or unaccredited. This is an amazing program. I thoroughly recommend it. We also use Schoolhouse Teachers. There's a lot of video content on that. I do primarily have a very offline homeschool curriculum, but I think with homeschool curriculum, there are some things that we use video lessons for. So that would be Luke's only video content that he got during the day usually. And then during the morning, we'll often sit there and we'll just read either library books, or we've got a lot of educational books that we've just picked up from Lifeline Book Fair. That's kind of our local, op shop has a massive big book fair. So we go along every 6 months and buy $100 worth of books and come home with a pile about this big, 30 books. And we got a whole lot of Dr. Seuss books lately. Hang on, I'll just go show them to you. They're fantastic. Oh, heavy. There's so many. So this is my haul of Dr. Seuss books. It's massive. And I love this because he's got different colored books. So the greenback book is for children beginning to read on their own, and they've got other different colored book backs. This one, that's a greenback book. Redback or blueback book, ideal for sharing with your child. Help pre-readers recognize words. So, and then they've got one for slightly more advanced readers. So if you are looking for an incredible book reading series that's fun for parents to read to kids, because I often find that it can be really good for kids, but parents are like, kill me. These are amazing. I love Dr. Seuss. They're really fun, tongue twisters and all those sorts of things. So, and you can pick them up pretty cheap these days. I think Aldi was also selling a whole bunch of them as well. So that's that. So we talked about BJU. I'm using Schoolhouse Teachers. I love, they've got a lot of really good Bible content that we use on there, a lot of good craft projects. And then they've got a Charlotte Mason section, they've got a unit studies section, and they also have a lot of classical curriculum that you can use. I think they've got things on debating and learning Latin, learning Korean, a whole bunch of stuff. So I do like Schoolhouse Teachers. Not a formal curriculum, but I get Lukey into listening to audiobooks. So this is so much better than him watching a video. And I find his language skills have gone through the roof. He recognizes so many words words, and he can put them in context because he's listening to audiobooks all the time. Now, what sort of audiobooks do? I get audiobooks from classical and Charlotte Mason curriculum. I've actually, because I'm so often going back to find new books I want him to listen to on audiobook, I've actually made my own homeschool reading list, which I'm continually adding books to the ones that we're reading. So you can find that in the link down below, a complete K to 12 reading list. So it's both classical and Charlotte Mason reading list. So we keep going back to them. And yes, come in. Come over here and tell me what you want. Come all the way over here.
Don't forget.
Tell everyone what you want to say.
Don't forget to subscribe to Mummy's video.
That's right. The way we get the audiobooks is you can either do that on Audible. I'll put a link down below so you can listen to pretty much everything on Audible. You can listen to most things on YouTube, and that's how we do it, because we just want to, you're probably the same, don't have loads of money, and so you can type in the name of the book followed by audiobook on YouTube, and usually there's a LibriVox recording of it. So we've just finished listening to, what was it? The Boxcar Children, that's what it was, yeah. So they're available online and they're really great. One of my favourite ones was also, what was it called again? Animal Stories by Thornton Burgess. That's a really good one for particularly young children, although I have heard it's a bit of a hit and miss depending on what the children's thoughts are. Okay, other curriculum things is we like to do lots of field trips, and so it can be really expensive if you're always going to a museum and paying, $30 a trip just to get the family in for the museum trip. So what we like to do is I say, hey kid, what are you interested in? And he'll say, for example, trucks. And so we went down to the local dealer and wheeler and dealer in trucks the other day, and Luke was able to climb into these massive digger trucks and rollers and all these different things, and apparently they have lots of kids coming by. So just think outside the box as to where you could go on a field trip. And then also try to incorporate a little bit of nature study in there. So that's also part of our curriculum that we use. And I find our days are so educational. And then I often will get his grandparents to do something educational with him as well. So that's the curriculum we use with Luke. What did I use when I was young? Let me put these books down because there's so many of these. Books. So we primarily used a Becker. So a Becker is still around today, and you may have heard of them, especially if you're looking into BJU Press, because a lot of people compare a Becker with BJU Press. Why do they do this? It's because they're actually pretty similar. They offer a fairly traditional program, but a Becker is, I think they have slightly longer videos compared to BJU. And then BJU Press, they both are also accredited, so they're very similar. So we used a Becker. We used to, back in those days, there was no online warehouse that you could go, and so we actually made a trip to Canberra, which was where they used to sell the homeschool curriculum, got in the car every year, travelled for 2 hours, made a bit of a day trip out of it, and picked up all of our homeschooling books in one. We used to use a Becker, they were our primarily, and then we also used to use ACE PACES, which is still around today. ACE stands for Accelerated Christian Education. Don't get this confused with Australian Christian Education, which is also a fairly new homeschool curriculum in Australia. ACE PACES is American curriculum. And 30 years ago, all of our curriculum used to also come overseas from America, because homeschooling has always been bigger in America by virtue of the people and by virtue of the fact that there's a lot of Christians who are going into homeschooling. We also used Rod and Stuff. That was our reading, writing, grammar books back then, and I can't remember any more of them. But if homeschooling curriculum is something you're really interested in, then click here, because here I talk about homeschooling curriculum in general, everything you need to know. And here is also a video on 10 of the best homeschool curriculum programs that I love.